Today, we're embarking on an exciting adventure into the world of the passive voice, a grammatical construction that often confuses and intimidates English learners. But fear not. By the time we're done, you'll be a passive voice pro, ready to impress everyone with your newfound knowledge. It's like having a secret weapon in your language arsenal. So, grab a snack, get comfy, and let's unravel the mysteries of the passive voice together. It's time to become grammar detectives and crack the case of this intriguing language construct. What is the passive voice? The grammatical shapeshifter. First things first, let's define the passive voice. In a nutshell, the passive voice is like a grammatical shapeshifter that flips the focus of a sentence. Instead of the subject performing the action, the subject receives the action of the verb. It's the opposite of the active voice, where the subject is the one calling the shots. Here's a simple example to illustrate the difference. Active voice. My grandfather planted this tree. Passive voice. This tree was planted by my grandfather. In the passive sentence, the spotlight shifts from the doer, my grandfather, to the recipient of the action, the tree. It's like the tree is saying, "Hey, look at me. I'm the star of this sentence now." The doer, or the agent, is often left out of the picture entirely, or if they do make an appearance, they're introduced with the preposition by. It's like they're the supporting actor rather than the lead. Forming the passive voice, the recipe for sentence transformation. Now that we know what the passive voice is, let's learn how to form it. To create a passive sentence, you need two key ingredients, the verb to be and the past participle of the main verb. It's like a recipe for sentence transformation. Here's the step-by-step guide. Subject plus to be in the same tense as the active verb, plus past participle, plus optional by plus agent. Let's look at some examples to see this recipe in action. Active. They keep the butter in the fridge. Passive. The butter is kept in the fridge. Active. Someone has stolen my bike. Passive. My bike has been stolen. In continuous tenses, we add an extra ingredient to the mix, the present participle of to be, being, plus the past participle of the main verb. It's like a grammatical garnish that makes the sentence even more flavorful. For instance, active, they are repairing the road. Passive, the road is being repaired. When to use the passive voice, the grammatical toolbox. So, when should you use the passive voice? It's like having a specialized tool in your grammatical toolbox, perfect for certain situations. Here are a few instances where the passive voice really shines. 1. When the doer of the action is unknown, unimportant, or obvious. It's like the subject is wearing an invisibility cloak. For example, the Mona Lisa was painted in the 16th century. We don't need to mention Leonardo da Vinci. It's obvious. 2. When you want to emphasize the action or the recipient of the action rather than the doer. It's like putting the spotlight on the verb or the object. For instance, the new library will be opened next month. The focus is on the library, not on who is opening it. 3. When you want to avoid blaming someone or something. It's like the grammatical version of mistakes were made. For example, errors were found in the report. This shifts the focus away from the person who made the errors. 4. When you're writing in a formal or scientific style, it's like putting on your fancy grammatical outfit. For instance, the experiment was conducted under controlled conditions. This is more formal than saying, we conducted the experiment. Prepositions and infinitives in passive sentences, the tricky bits. Now, let's talk about a couple of trickier aspects of the passive voice, prepositions and infinitives. These can be like the grammatical equivalent of trying to solve a Rubik's Cube. A bit challenging, but totally doable once you know the tricks. When you have a verb plus preposition combination in an active sentence, the preposition usually sticks with the verb in the passive form, like two peas in a pod. For example, active, they laughed at the clumsy clown. Passive, the clumsy clown was laughed at. In some cases, the preposition changes to with in the passive. It's like the preposition is putting on a disguise. For instance, active, the workers filled the hole with concrete. Passive, the hole was filled with concrete by the workers. When it comes to infinitives, the passive form depends on the main verb. It's like the main verb is the boss, deciding how the infinitive should behave. After verbs like believe, know, say, and think, we can use either that or an infinitive. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure story. For example, active, people believe that he is a spy. Passive, it is believed that he is a spy. Or, he is believed to be a spy. After verbs like make and let, we use the bare infinitive without to. It's like the infinitive is going au naturel. For instance, active, they made us work overtime. Passive, we were made to work overtime. Common mistakes and pitfalls, the grammatical trap. While the passive voice is a useful tool, it's important to use it judiciously and avoid common mistakes. These mistakes are like grammatical traps waiting to ensnare unsuspecting language learners. Here are a few things to watch out for. 1. Overusing the passive voice. Too many passive sentences can make your writing dull and difficult to follow. It's like eating too much candy. A little bit is fine, but too much can lead to a grammatical stomachache. Use the active voice when it makes sense to emphasize the doer of the action. 2. Forgetting the by phrase. If you mention the agent in a passive sentence, don't forget to use by before it. The cake was eaten by my sister is incorrect. It should be, the cake was eaten by my sister. It's like the agent is the VIP of the sentence, and by is their backstage pass. 3. Using the passive voice with intransitive verbs. Intransitive verbs, like sleep, die, or arrive, don't take a direct object, so they can't be used in the passive voice. She was slept, or he was died, are incorrect. It's like trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't work. 4. Mixing up the verb forms. Make sure you use the correct form of to be and the past participle of the main verb. The book was wrote is incorrect. It should be, the book was written. It's like a grammatical game of mix and match. You have to find the right combination. Examples and practice. The grammatical workout. To help solidify your understanding of the passive voice, let's look at a few more examples and practice transforming active sentences into passive ones. It's like a grammatical workout. The more you practice, the stronger your passive voice muscles will become. Here are some examples. Active. The dog chased the cat. Passive. The cat was chased by the dog. Active. Someone will clean the room tomorrow. Passive. The room will be cleaned tomorrow. Active. They had finished the project before the deadline. Passive. The project had been finished before the deadline. Now it's your turn to flex your grammatical muscles. Try transforming these active sentences into passive ones. 1. The chef is preparing the meal. 2. The students have completed the assignment. 3. They will announce the winner next week. Answers. 1. The meal is being prepared by the chef. 2. The assignment has been completed by the students. 3. The winner will be announced next week. Congratulations, grammar enthusiasts. You've successfully navigated the ins and outs of the passive voice. It's like you've earned your black belt in grammatical transformations.
Hey there, learners, let's explore passive voice and learn some more. Flip the subject, take a look, see how verbs and nouns rebook. Passive voice, change the view. What gets done is clear to you. Not the doer, but the deed. Grammar skills, you'll succeed. Active, they paint the wall. Passive, the wall is painted call. Forming passive, here's the rule. To be verb and past participle. Passive voice, change the view. What gets done is clear to you. Not the doer, but the deed. Grammar skills, you'll succeed. When the doer's hidden from sight, or the action's just right, formal writing or report, passive makes the case report. Prepositions staying tight with the verb to make it right. Infinitives, they might blend. Passive voice in the end. Passive voice, change the view. What gets done is clear to you. Not the doer, but the deed.